Hello, and welcome back to Let's Play Alundra and Thunderation. I guess we've saved Wendell, and I suppose he's supposed to have some kind of like Yosemite Sam accent. I don't know, he hasn't really had a lot of speaking lines so far. Anyway, yeah, he's gone, and we're still here. I guess they forgot to tell us how to get out of the dream. Yeah, that's good to know, Septimus. Exit strategy? Maybe? Something? Anything? No, we just come out. Still standing up. Mead here talks about how Alundra's body went slack while he was inside Wendell's dream and they had to hold him up, but this is something the game sort of forgets about after this point. You use the same pose pretty much every time you enter and leave a dream, and then there are definitely scenarios where you enter a dream while there's nobody around you, meaning I suppose he just falls to the floor holding onto the person's hand during the duration of this scenario. I don't know, it's a little weird. Otherwise, yeah, most of the first part of this video is going to be predominantly cutscenes, so I'll try to be quiet if there isn't something relevant to say about the overall plot with respect to sort of my opinions or anything of that nature. Wendell does say he fell to the ground too exhausted, but remember, they were slimes, they don't really move all that fast, and he was standing up when we found him. So, I mean, I hate to sort of belittle that scene, because I suppose it's supposed to be poignant, but we know from the fact we were there, he's not telling the truth. Anyway. Meanwhile, right outside, this is apparently important. That's Giles, he's the Chancellor's altar boy, so to speak. Chancellor, I guess, is the word they're using for the local priest. But why would we care about that? We've got apparently another tutorial to go through. Septimus has yet more to say about our gift, so to speak. We've probably learned more in this one day here in Anoa Village about ourselves and our powers, and apparently we learned in our entire lifetime, presumably living with the Elna, or wherever Alundra lived prior to his involvement in the plot of this game. And he's already back. I don't know why they bothered cutting away outside of Wendell's house, when in the space of the same cutscene they're forcing us to follow Giles anyway. It's a little strange. But we do get some more big picture stuff in this scene, so it seems relatively important. Note that even though we have sort of an antagonist, the game is still giving us mostly just basically case-by-case objectives, and the large-scale stuff, the world-building stuff, so to speak. We're learning about, you know, the racism that Alundra faces, we're learning about the role of religion in this world, and all this will come back in the plot at large. I think it makes a very, very nice opening to the game, sort of before we learn what our sort of overarching objectives are in terms of gameplay. Like, people expect the opening of a game to have a lot of cutscenes, especially a role-playing game like this. And I think this game in particular makes good use of that assumption in the time that we spend in these cutscenes in general. Here, Ronan forces us to pray to the gods. You can say no, but this is one of those but thou must scenarios where you're going to have to eventually say yes and give in anyway. Given that this is a fantasy world, the idea that gods, should they so exist, require prayer for sustenance is in full effect, so this is another plot item that will sort of come into greater relevance as we continue through the game. Anyway, let's get the heck out of here. It's a little creepy. It's got the scary kind of cathedral altar music as opposed to the really benevolent choir kind that games often use. And now we have control, 3.5 minutes into the video. Let's go chop some grass. Again, I do need to round up at least 500 guilders. The first thing we're going to buy, I might as well say it right now, since at some point I might actually have to just grind off camera and do it. But we're going to round up 500 guilders to buy a life vessel from the village item shop, which I haven't yet to visit. Let's go save. Saving here is actually really important, because after this cutscene, right here in Septimus' house, we will lose the ability to save the next time we have control over Alundra, and something that we can miss permanently will happen shortly after that. Anyway, Septimus now here describes a couple of the other problems that people are experiencing in these dreams. Check this out, this one. Nadia sleeps and nearby objects explode as if packed with dynamite. Teeters near insanity. That sounds really important. Maybe we should go take care of that. Maybe that should be our next objective. Maybe, you think? Like, that's awesome. Like, really? Falling asleep and blowing things up? It's pretty cool. But I think at this point that overshadows most of the remaining plot developments that we've learned about so far, and I don't really sense the, like, urgency. Yeah, evil nightmares, whatever. Yes, someone is blowing things up in the village. Okay. Like that. Did you fall asleep again? Maybe? I'm gonna go check it out. No, this is an earthquake. Wait. This is even worse. Man, life sucks here. The freaking coal mine. Thank you. Okay, so that's apparently entirely unrelated to everything else we've been doing so far, but sure, whatever. That's just a barrel full of laughs around here. Okay, now Jess is outside his house. He's actually outside the mayor's house, and he's locked his door. Our next objective is to go to Beaumont's house. Olen, trapped in the cave-in. That's our new scenario, so to speak. Our new... I guess the person we're supposed to save. There's Ronan. We've seen him a couple times again. Beaumont, we've met him already. The woman on the left, the old woman, is Yostel. She's the village fortune teller. This is Ludus, the other generic guy, whereas Mead is the family man, Ludus is the newlywed. And yeah, so we can solve nightmares, but there's basically nothing we can do for, you know, injuries sustained while being trapped in a cave-in. So things are looking pretty bad for Olen. And keep in mind, Septimus has apparently spent all of his time researching dreams, so I'm guessing he's not particularly well-versed in legitimate medical care. And yes, he whispered the word Merg. That's not even a word! He probably just said it while he was dying. If I hadn't explained to you that Merg were the name of the monkeys from the tree, if you had heard that line in a vacuum, you'd have no idea what was going on. Anyway, yes. Ludus, apparently gets off on this. Thank God we don't have to go into his dream anytime soon. It's a little bit too in-depth on that. Why are they worried about it now? We fought them at every turn in Tarn's Manor. It's not really a secret that they're aggressive. They attacked me first. Seems like a plan. Note that this is one of those situations where Olen is dying and is in danger of dying. Yes, if you die in the dream, you die in real life. But he doesn't actually die until, or I should say, approach exactly death's door until you go inside the dream. So you could sort of take it as one of those video game scenarios where, you know, things don't really move along until you bother to move them along, but I'd also like to think that maybe an alternative interpretation, something to think about, is that the stress of reliving the experience was it actually killed Olen, and we might not be doing as much good as we think we do. Just something to think about. Anyway, yeah, we knew this. Apparently they just dug too deep. Whatever. Yeah, here's some more of that racism. Keep in mind this is fairly obviously much like Lars's crypt that we observed in the dream that he came to speak to us. You know, a dungeon that we're revisiting fairly soon, and he's giving us a clue, left, right, left. This will obviously never come up again. Just the game. You can actually hit the switch to skip, and you can't turn the line off. That would have been kind of funny if you could turn the engine off right in front of him. And let's go say hi to Olen. Yep, he's got a bomb, one of those gigantic cartoon bombs. You know, in a world like this, which is governed largely by supposedly realistic physics, that can't possibly be good. Yep, they're the Merg. Now, this is what I was referring to, and the game pulls a real jerk move on you now. You have to kill these Merg in a matter of seconds, and if you do, you receive a Gilded Falcon. You have a very short time limit, and in fact, the time it takes for the treasure, the Falcon, to rise up into the air and be counted, counts against that time limit. I actually have footage of myself getting the Gilded Falcon, opening the treasure chest, and then being pulled out of the dream while the animation is going on, and not having the Falcon afterwards. In fact, if you take a really long time to kill the Merg, you might not even realize you're missing something. But not something we have to worry about. It did take me 3 tries to do that, and then I lost my save file, and 3 more tries to do it the second time, so sigh. But the important thing is we have it now. The game's going to do it to us again very soon, too. Not quite the same, but something along those lines. And, yeah. Again, we knew that Olen was practically at death's door. The fact that he just had to go through that all over again in his brain seems to have killed him. That's an expert opinion. She prayed to the gods to get it, just like everybody else here. Pretty creepy for, you know, a 2D game with like limited sprite animations to have someone die and go into convulsions like that. Anyway, nothing we can do here but to go back to Jess's house. I know I seem to be taking kind of a light attitude to the whole thing. Let's go talk to her. This is an optional scenario. She apparently has no idea that Olen's already dead. This is his girlfriend, I guess? There's Giles again. Sort of gives you a little bit better picture of the interconnectedness between the various characters in the plot. The game goes to great lengths to sort of establish the fact that these people had lives prior to the goings-on here, and import on you the effect of what's going on to each individual character as it should. Yeah, only pray. It gets a little aggravating after a while, the way people talk about that. It will get worse as we go. Anyway, this is a little weird. This is one of the primary mechanics for obtaining new items in the game. Here, this is something else too. Here Jess talks about how the king decreed that all idol worship was forbidden about 5 years ago. Sort of gives you the sense that Anoa Village was part of a much larger kingdom, and it's surprising that there's no other contact knowing this village is going through so many problems right now. Anyway, I'll get a bit more into that later, but for now, yes, here Jess describes it. Olen's spirit apparently spoke to him and inspired him to create another bomb, the same as the one that Olen used to basically kill himself. He made one bomb. That's not a hint whatsoever. But yeah, sure, I mean, we've got chronic hero syndrome just like every RPG hero, so why wouldn't we try to do that? Why wouldn't we assume that we're going to do it anyway? And in fact, that's exactly what we do. Stowing that giant bomb in our pack. Of course, Jess only made one bomb, but in Grand Zelda fashion that gives us the ability to use any number of bombs. Unlike Zelda, we do not have a finite number of bombs, we have infinite bombs. We just have to equip the item. The bombs do ridiculous amounts of damage normally. Let me just take a minute and talk to this guy while we're here. This is Bon Air. He has some freaking stupid surfer's accent. Look at that. Stinky guacamole. Yeah, screw you, working designs. Bon Air, unlike guys like Ludus and Maid, is actually important to the plot, so even though he looks like a generic male character and has basically no distinguishing features, they gave him the stupid accent just to make him stand out personality-wise. Just frustrates me, sorry. Anyway, let's slowly make our way the other direction, away from the sanctuary. Pick up as much cash as we can. There's some stuff up those steps, but we can't really do anything up there just yet, so let's go in here first. This is the other obnoxious thing the game does to us. This is Olen's house. We might as well go in here now that he's dead. It's not like he's going to miss any of his stuff. And there is one treasure chest here containing a Gilded Falcon, our fourth. The house, after the next dungeon, burns down without warning, and you can no longer pick up the Gilded Falcon after that happens, meaning yet again, the game has given us basically another stopping point where we can permanently miss a Gilded Falcon, and you won't even know you've missed it until it's already too late. Thankfully, this one is much easier to get than the one in Olen's dream. Let's move over here to the left, and here's another complicated mountain area. These are actually really difficult to climb correctly unless you have a really good sense for what the perspective of this game is. One of the failures of using this sort of front-based 2D, fake 3D perspective. Anyway, there he is. Of course we came here. He knew we would do it. Why wouldn't we? Yeah, keep trying. What are you gonna do? I've got the sword and the bomb. How are you gonna stop me? Don't be a hero, we are the hero! Now this guy's Klein, he's the village hunter, I guess. He's a real badass, so to speak. Although he doesn't really do very much in the game itself. Yeah, you're even more useless. Anyway, we know what to do. Blow up this, and we'll enter the coal mine in the next dungeon on the next episode of Let's Play Alundra.